Hello, hello. Happy Monday, Lit Uppies. I cannot believe it's already Monday. This weekend flew by. Sarah was in town and we hung out and did some stuff for Happy Thoughts and mostly just had a lot of fun. And so I basically felt like I blinked and my weekend was over, but I am super excited to be here today talking to you guys about how to use mindset, strategy, and execution to get any result that you want. I obviously love me some mindset and strategy and execution. It's my whole framework. But, you know, I think that the thing that I love the most about it is that it really is a framework for getting anything you want, not just business success. So I want to talk about that a little bit today, but I also want to talk about how it relates to your business specifically and how you can start using it right now to get what you want. So let's dive in. All right. So the thing that kind of brought me to having mindset, strategy, and execution as my framework is just having spent a lot of time growing my own businesses. I have a very entrepreneurial family. Most of my mom's, or pretty much all my mom's side of her family owns their own businesses. I worked in the nonprofit world for a little while. I have a master's in mental health counseling and an MBA. And so the reason I share all this is because I've put a lot of thought into what actually makes us successful, what actually makes us create success, what helps us get what we want, because I've seen it through all these different lenses. Hey, Debbie, thank you for joining me. Because I've seen it through all these different lenses, meaning like in the nonprofit space, in the entrepreneurial world, more in the like brick and mortar space, definitely through this space, through building two of my own online businesses, through therapy. So like I have a lot of different perspectives to bring to the table around like what makes a difference, how do you get what you want? And the truth that I keep coming back to is always mindset, strategy, and execution. And I think I don't want to say wrong, because I hate to even like label anything like that. But what I think is a challenge point in so much of the entrepreneurial space is that we're often asking people to pick. And what I mean is we're kind of like, oh, this isn't working for you, then it's because you're like mindset's the only solution, or like your business isn't growing the way you want, then it's just about strategy, or you're not getting this thing you want, it's just because you aren't executing. And like maybe, but it's like all of those things have to be true together. Not perfectly in balance, but all of those things have to be on deck for you to be getting results. Hey, Hira, thank you for joining me. If you're here, say hi. So all of those things have to be on deck in some way for you to be fully getting the results that you want. And if all of those things are on deck, there's no way that you're not getting the results you want. So people will say like, it's all mindset, it's all mindset, it's all mindset, it's all mindset. Well, probably was for them because it was the thing that brought everything else into play. Or people will say it's all strategy, it's all strategy, it's all strategy. Again, it probably was for them because it was the thing that brought everything else into play. So what I mean is like a lot of times we'll see a super successful entrepreneur who has a big following and is going, oh my gosh, like I just make 100K months now and it just happens. It's just my mindset. It's only my mindset. It's always my mindset, right? Hey guys. Hey Charlene. Hey Lucy. Thank you guys for joining me. If you have questions while I'm talking, feel free to pop them in or let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So what I mean is like, so a lot of times like somebody will have this like huge following and they'll kind of say like, it was mindset. It's all mindset. All it ever is mindset. And like, listen, I agree with that actually in a lot of ways. Like at this point in my business, almost the entire game is mindset. However, I did a lot of strategy to get here. When my mindset is right, I execute really consistently. And so what I mean is like, we can make anything the thing, but it looks like all of those things. So that person that like has that really big following now and is saying it's all mindset, I promise you they're showing up probably almost every day, right? I promise you they have a strategy now. They're just not focused on it because they built it over time. And I promise you their mindset's in check. Now, it might feel like mindset is the piece for them. And again, I agree. It feels like it's the piece for me anytime I want to up level now. But it's because I have those other pieces in place, right? It's because I've been showing up consistently for such a long time that execution is easy for me. It's because like I know my strategy, I know my system, I know my process, and so it's easy for me. So what I really want you to think about is the fact that like whenever you're hearing somebody say, all strategy, all you need is strategy, it's just the strategy, it's just the strategy. Hey, Claire, it probably was for them, but I bet those other two things were in place. So anytime anybody's saying it's just the mindset, it's just the mindset, it's just the mindset, it's true. It's just those things are probably in place too, right? So it's not that anybody is wrong, and that's what I mean. I don't want to make any of this wrong. It's just the perspective of like when somebody's going, all I did was shift my mindset and XYZ happened. It's probably true, but I bet they already had these other two pieces in place, right? Debbie says they are interchangeable and work together. I think the starting point is mindset, but yes, without all the other pieces, I think you would fall flat. Interconnected. Right, we're right. And listen, like those are going to change over time, meaning like your balance is going to shift with them. Like your balance does not have to look like 33.333% mindset, 33.333% strategy. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be perfect. But if all of those things aren't working together, you're not going to get what you want. And you're not going to get it fast, and you're not going to get any result that you want, right? Belinda says it's never just one thing, it's the whole scheme. Exactly. Like anytime we hear this is the thing, this is the thing, this is the thing, I think that's how you know it's not the thing. Because a lot of things have to come together. Now, I think there's always something that pushes us over the edge. Like if I have clients that come to me that are super strategy-based and like really, really into that, really good at executing, usually the mindset is the thing that we'll work on that really, really shifts things and puts them over the edge to like really hit success. If someone comes to me who is really, really, really mindset focused, usually what they need from me is to help them like implement a strategy that's actually going to work. So the point is like there are things that will push you over the edge. Yours just look different, and it's not always one thing. It's not, well, because so-and-so got really successful by just focusing on mindset, that's what I have to do. What you have to do is look at the piece of this whole pie and go, what's working for me? What's not working for me? What am I actually focused on? What am I not focused on, right? Because I promise you, if there's something in your business right now that's not going the way you want it to, and you really looked at it, like what's your mindset around it? What strategies do you have in place, and are you executing on it consistently? One of those areas is definitely not happening fully, right? Anytime. So like the reason I titled this To Get Any Result That You Want is because I want to show you how it's true in other areas too, because sometimes in our business it can get so clouded, right? It can get so muddy because we're just so in it. So like let's look at something like weight loss, right? Okay, so with weight loss, what has to happen, right? You can't just visualize and sit on the couch and lose weight. Now, a lot of people will say, well, actually you can just like love yourself enough to create what you want. And I think that's probably true. But what happens is because of that belief, your actions and your strategy will inherently change. If I love myself enough that I stop wanting to overeat, or if I'm taking care of my emotions and my mindset enough that I stop wanting to overeat, my actions are inherently changing because of that. My strategy is inherently changing. My strategy is now not to like go binge on 15 cookies. It's like maybe to like go for a walk when I'm feeling like that. And then me going for the walk is actually executing it, right? So the point is, one thing probably snowballs and changes the other things, meaning like in that weight loss scenario, potentially me changing my mindset snowballs, because then what it does is it changes my beliefs, and then what it does is it changes how I show up for things and how I think about things, and then it effectively changes how I execute on things. But all of those pieces have to change. if I just sat on the couch and thought about how much I love myself, but still ate the same way and still did the same things, I would still not get the same change. So the permission I want to give you today is to remember that, yes, you can focus on one of these things and it will snowball the others, but they all have to be part of your business. They all have to come into play to get any result that you want. Now, here's the bitch of it. I say this all the time, but it's true and it's worth repeating, which is like most people want to do more of the thing that's easy or feels good or that they're already doing. So like a lot of my clients, when they start with me, they'll come to me and say like, okay, so I've been really working my mindset and I feel like I'm almost there, like I'm almost having a breakthrough, but I want to hire you to like really work my mindset. And like the truth is we could and we're going to, in the sense that like it's all part of it. But like what they really aren't doing is executing potentially. Like they're like, I'm doing all this mindset work, I'm doing it, I want to hire you to help me do more of it. Like, okay, but you're not even showing up every day. So like we got to get you executing for all this work you just did to pay off, right? Or they'll come to me and go, I had this strategy, I have it all mapped out, I have this really amazing strategy, I got to figure out how to get even more strategic because it's not giving me exactly what I want. How can I hire you to get more strategic? Well, like you don't need more strategy. What you need is to actually believe in this strategy, or what you need is to go execute on this strategy. So that's the whole piece here, where it's like, one, a lot of times the solution that we want is not the solution we need, right? And two, I'm like out of the camera. And two, one little tweak on one of these other pieces can like send your business soaring, right? So if you're that person that like already has the strategy in place and is already like really smart about that and is already showing up for it, but like you just like don't really believe that it's going to work, the mindset work's going to change everything, right? If you're someone that has a really, really solid mindset, but just like isn't being strategic about where they're spending their time or what they're doing, the strategy part's going to change everything, right? And again, this is true with any result you want, whether it's a happy relationship or to lose weight or to, like buy an income property. Like it literally doesn't matter. If these three things are in place, you're getting what you want reliably. When these things are not in place or not functioning together, it's really, really, really hard, if not impossible, to get the full scope of the result that you want, right? And so what I really want you to think about is like, how can I figure out which of these places needs to be tweaked for me? I have a quiz for this actually. I'm like, oh, hold on. What is the link though? I think it's just quiz. Hold on, you guys, I'm looking. I should know this. So embarrassing. Okay, yeah, it's alituplife.com /quiz. And it's just like helping you figure out what is your missing piece. So like, is it mindset? Is it strategy? Is it execution? Because sometimes, again, it's really hard for us to see that because we're really attached to one thing. I'm really good at strategy. I just want to fix my strategy. I'm like really good at doing mindset work. I just want to focus there. And then what happens is we spend so much time on that one piece that then we get really frustrated and we start to think, well, maybe strategy is not the thing. Maybe mindset's not the thing. And it is, and you're probably doing it really well. It's just that you need these other pieces in place too, right? So, I think I see a lot of people do that with like both strategy and mindset work in particular, but like, they'll be like, I've been doing so much fucking mindset work and I'm like not seeing the result. Well, like, so like, what does that look like practically? So you've been doing a lot of mindset work. Is it like helping you get more visible? No, not right now. I'm just like really working on journaling. Like, okay, so then we have to do this other part, but like, stop saying that mindset work doesn't work. We just have to add this other piece. And I think that's what gets so confusing in this industry is when we're doing something and we're focused on it and we don't see mega results, we want to burn it down. We want to be like, fuck journaling. Journaling doesn't work, right? It's like, no. That's working. That part of your process is rolling. You're rocking and rolling. That's going well, right? you got to add the strategy now. Or you're like, I've redone my strategy 6 times and I figured out all these things and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, right? And it's not working, so I'm going to like burn it to the ground. Well, like, are you executing on everything that strategy says? Do you actually believe that strategy is going to work? Because like, again, that's the part to tweak, right? So that was weird. I think that my dog is snoring, but it like sounded like someone else was in the house. I was like, hopefully no one else is here and hopefully no one else is snoring. So that is the thing, right? Like you got to figure out what's the other piece, because what you're doing might be working. And that's what I see people do way too often, is like burn down the thing that's working, right? They're like, I've been doing it, it's not working. So they like light a match to the thing. And like that thing was working, right? So it's like we talked about like with the weight loss piece, like they do the self-love piece, the mindset piece over and over and over and over. And then they're like, that's not working. Well, that piece was working. You just needed to like take that next step to put it into action. So here's the thing. These things together really do get you any result you want, whether it's in business, whether it's in life. It's just that you have to be willing to have the perspective to figure out which piece is missing and then to actually do that thing. And that's the tough part, because we almost always want it to be the thing that feels easier, safer, more comfortable, better than the opposite, right? So again, like if you're a strategy person, you want it to be the strategy so fucking bad sometimes, right? You're like, I just want it to be the strategy. I just want to know what to fix in my fucking funnel to make this happen, right? If you're a mindset person, you're like, I just want it to be the mindset. I don't want to have to go fix anything in my funnel. I just want to fix my mindset. And that's how we develop stories and poor belief systems. And that's how we make things so much harder on ourselves, right? Kate says, for sure, it all has to work together. Totally. And if it's not, that's the thing to fix, right? And so when we don't go to that other thing, we start to form really shitty stories like mindset doesn't work, or all strategies are crappy, or Facebook groups suck, or I'm just someone who doesn't show up consistently, or whatever. That is how all those negative stories get formed, because we start making inferences about one thing when really it's in the context of like all of these things together. So we're doing the mindset, and then we start going, fuck mindset work. Mindset work doesn't even work. This is like not helping, blah, 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 right? Or fuck strategy doesn't work. Facebook groups suck, blah, 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 blah. Like, again, it is never any of those things, and they never just live by themselves, right? Belinda says, yep. Belinda, you know this because you do a ton of mindset work with your clients, right? And they're hiring you because they have the other stuff in place. The strategy is not the thing that they need. They need the mindset kick in the ass, right? But it's like the harder thing sometimes to admit that that's what you need, right? Especially if you love strategy. This was a really hard thing for me to give myself permission on because I really, 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 really love mindset. Like I think, I was just saying this earlier, right? I think mindset is just like such a big portion of the game. I think for me personally in my life path, it's most of the game. And so to have to like go to business school and learn to be really strategic and stuff, like, you know, part of me like wanted to rebel against that. And then part of me realized like, wait, but that's what makes everything else easier and everything work, right? That's when the mindset work pays off, is when I'm doing the strategy. That's when it all comes together, right? Kate says, exactly. Every time I try to chase down the root of an issue in my business, it's never just one thing. It's connected to all the other things, right? It's like a domino effect. That's so true. Sarah, hi, Sarah. She says, yes, this is so true. I used to think that the whole mindset thing was kind of BS, and you called me out on it. I did. Until my mindset had to change because I was moving, and right around the same time, my business exploded. Exactly. Like you had the other stuff in place. So that's why mindset exploded your business, right? And that's the thing to remember. Like, so the problem is that we would hear somebody like Sarah say, well, mindset exploded my business. And so we're like, okay, cool. Let me go do the mindset. And like, it's true, mindset did explode her business, but she had strategy and execution in place fundamentally. And so when she flipped that mindset switch, everything blew up when it needed to, right? And the same can be true with anything else. If you have the mindset and execution and then you flip the strategy switch, like, it can blow your business up. So I think the thing that I want to impart around this especially is that you can't follow someone else's path on this. You have to figure out what it is for you, right? That's why I love that missing piece quiz, because it really is about figuring out what is true for you. And that's what a lot of programs and coaches and courses and whatever are not doing. They're going, this was the thing that flipped the switch for me, so let me help you do that. Right? Like, that's what most marketing is. Like, you guys have totally seen that. That's the hero's journey. Like, here's my journey, and then I did this one thing and everything changed. And it's really fucking good marketing. Don't get me wrong. I'm quite certain I probably have something that says something similar. I'm not hating. I'm just saying that, like, what's confusing about that is then we're taking that to mean, okay, then that's the one thing I need to change everything. And maybe, in fact, my recommendation is figure out what the one thing you need is, and then go hire a person that's helping you with that one thing, right? But the other things have to be true too. And you have to figure out what your missing piece is so that when you're making buying, hiring choices, whatever, it's actually in line with what you need. It's not like you're a strategy person hiring for more strategy, or you're a mindset person hiring for more mindset. You're going, okay, like, realistically, I can see that my missing piece is X. And so I need to go get help with that solution because that's what I personally need, not because what I heard on the live stream was that Sarah Pelk blew up her business because of mindset, right? Like, it's so interesting how that is and how easy that is to do, where we're like, oh, it worked for her, so it has to work for me, versus like, well, her missing piece was this and mine is this, so let me go hire for this. Does that make sense, you guys? I think that's like one of the biggest problems is that we're not identifying our own problems in a realistic way first. And so then when we're making purchasing decisions, it's usually from a place of like wanting to stay in our comfort zone, instead of like wanting to stretch and like really solve the problem as a whole. So figure out what your problem is. I mean, actually, it's so funny. I just like had a call with somebody a few weeks ago. They wanted to hire me as a coach. And when I talked to her, I was like, your problem is not mindset or strategy at all. Like, you need someone to do this shit for you. You're really busy. She had 2 businesses. I'm like, you're really busy. Like, you don't need me at all, actually. Like, you need to hire someone that's going to just do shit for you. Like, how about you do that? She was like, oh my God, that like never even occurred to me because I'm so oriented toward do more, figure out the strategy, figure out a better way to do it, figure out more strategy, get my mindset right, figure out more strategy. Like, I'm so oriented towards that. It like doesn't even occur to me that I could just get someone to execute on this shit for me. Totally. Yes, go do that. Don't hire me, right? Because all I'm going to do is help you solve problems you've already solved, which is like, you're probably actually pretty strategic. You're probably have a really good mindset. You just like simply don't have the time to execute, right? And so this is just a reminder, like, you have to figure out what your gap and your hole is for you to make the right buying decision. And like, listen, not to toot my own horn, but like, integrity is a thing for me, so I don't really mind tooting it. But a lot of people are not going to get lucky enough to get on the phone with someone that's like, hey, don't hire me, go hire one of these 5 people that execute, because it's like way smarter. They're going to be like, sure, hire me, great. And that's how we end up in programs that aren't helping us, right? Kate says, so true. I've been working on making the right hire that I need versus what I don't. Yep. Executors are my main hires this year for that same reason. Exactly. Because sometimes we've gotten to a point in our business where we do have the mindset down. We do know what the strategy is. And sometimes we just can't do all the execution, right? Or, that's when you can like hire a coach strategically. Like, I have someone that hired me recently that's like very, very far along in her business and has the team built up and like really needs to go back to ground zero with mindset and strategy and like really be the CEO of the team of executors, right? So there's just a different need. If she was like, I just need to hire more executors because I already have 5 people on my team and now I need even more, that wouldn't have served her. She does need to hire a coach. So my call to you is like, figure out what the actual holes are in your business. Figure out what the actual holes are that are keeping you from getting any result that you want. And then go get support around that. Because the thing you're already great at, you don't need more support around necessarily. You need support around the thing that feels uncomfortable, right? So if like mindset feels like the massively uncomfortable thing for you, it's time to get support there. If execution is just like not happening at all, it's time to figure out if that's a mindset thing or a strategy thing, or if you need to just like hire executors. But like, this is how you will get anything you want. And this is how you'll make the right, like hiring decisions in your business too, is because you're actually going to solve the right problem instead of trying to solve the same problem 15 different ways, right? Like, okay, well, the journaling thing didn't get me every single thing I ever wanted. So like, now let me try tapping. Like, stop solving the same fucking problem. Let's go solve a different problem. Like, I'm journaling. So now how do I start being strategic, right? So I hope that was helpful. I hope that gives you perspective. If you want to do the quiz, it's alituplife.com/quiz. And like, I just want to hear from you guys, like, what is the thing that's missing for you right now? Like, if you had to just pick one of these 3 things, like, what really needs your focus in your business? Like, if you're listening, tell me in the comments, like, does it need to be mindset? Does it need to be strategy? Or does it need to be execution? Like, do you even have that perspective? Are you even sure, right? But like, call yourself out on that and like, you know, really get clear with yourself on that, because this is the thing, again, that will change everything. Like, for me earlier this year, it's so interesting because I was wanting to like lose weight and feel better. And I just kept not executing on it. Like, I would be like, oh, like I have whatever. Like, I have the belief that I deserve time for myself. I'm really good at giving myself time to like read and take bubble baths and stuff like that. So that's cool. So I have a strategy. Like, I know that I could like go to Orange Theory, or I have like whatever, a Beachbody program or whatever. What's happening? I'm just not executing. So if I want to get the thing I want, I have to just start executing. And of course I have, and then it's become a habit and it's been easier. But like, I had to stop going, oh, I just need to buy a different Beachbody program, or, oh, I just need to like believe and love myself a little more. Like, all of those things were already happening. I just had to like show up for it, right? And like, again, I could come up with like 100 other examples, but the point is, when you actually go and get real with yourself and go, this is what I'm actually missing, it's so fucking easy to fix problems, right? You know? And the piece is, though, is that you have to get really honest with yourself, because I think this is the thing that we miss the most. Like, there was a long period of time where I kept saying, like, the reason I wasn't losing weight was strategy, right? I just didn't really know the exact thing to eat, and I just, like, needed a better program, a better workout program, and I just, whatever. None of those things. I just wasn't fucking doing anything consistently, right? And so that's the hard part to admit sometimes, again. So like, whatever your initial reaction is right now, if you're typing in strategy or you're typing in mindset or whatever, go back later and really think about that. Because I find that it is like very difficult sometimes to say it's something that it's not, like, because it feels so like, it felt better for me, truthfully, to keep going. I just don't know. It's just the strategy. It's just the strategy. I just don't have the right thing. I just don't have the right thing. Because it made me feel better than being like, I just have to like fucking get my ass up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and go. It just felt better at the time, right? Felt better than taking the ownership of that, until it didn't, and until I was sick of not getting the thing I wanted long enough, and then I decided something different, right? So again, you guys might be totally right. I'm not saying strategy is never the thing. It's the thing a lot of the time. Just using that example as like, I really messed with myself around that for a while, and then I had to make a different decision, right? Debbie says strategy. Tracy says strategy. Jessica says execution. Yep. Totally me. Oh, I'm glad you like the quiz. Kate says there are a couple of strategic goals that I'm working out now, but overall I'm always having to work on the mindset piece for sure, right? Like, I think that, again, the more you know this stuff and the more you kind of can own it, the easier it is to make a different decision. Like when I finally just had to own, like, I know everything I need to know about like diet and exercise. What I actually need to do is like get my ass up. I'm not saying that felt real good, y'all. Like it didn't feel like, oh, major epiphany, great. Like now it's easy. It was still hard as shit, right? Like it's actually harder because I had to do the thing that was like out of my comfort zone. But it's what gets you the results, right? And so the thing you're identifying is probably the thing that feels the most uncomfortable, but it has to happen, right? So give yourself permission to focus on that this week. If you're watching the replay, I would love for you to tell us what your thing is. Is it mindset, strategy, or execution? And then like tell us what you're going to do to work on that this week. Mindset over here. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, most of the time now to go to that like next level in my business, it is mindset. But again, like that's changed over time. So, you know, they can always like, they can change too is an important thing to remember, right? Like it's not, oh, if you have mindset now, that's like reliably always going to be your thing. So remember that too. Like you may have been focused, like you may have identified a little while ago that it was mindset. I'm not saying anybody on here. I'm just saying in particular, like you may have identified a little while ago as a mindset. So you've been working that. And now it's time to go, okay, cool. So now what do I need to do to take it to the next level? Well, it might be strategy, right? Tracy says, I'm scared to execute because I don't think I'm doing it right. Tracy, so you know what's so interesting? Hold on, I got to scroll back up because I think you said strategy. Right, you said strategy, but then you just got really real with yourself, which like major props to you, and I freaking love you for doing that and for saying that on here. You're like, actually, I just don't think I know what I'm doing, and so I'm not doing anything. It's actually probably not strategy at all, right? It's probably getting your mindset in check so then you feel comfortable executing to a strategy you've maybe already chosen. And I think we do that to ourselves a lot. We're like, we want to know that it's perfect. Like right, the same thing I was doing with weight loss. Like, oh, I just need a more perfect program that doesn't feel hard. Well, it's probably going to feel hard to get up and work out no matter what for at least a little bit, right? Because it's new and because it's different and because like there are no promises. Even if I get up and work out every day for the next 90 days, like, am I going to like have abs? Probably not, you know? And so I think that's what can happen is that we want to keep going to the strategy as an example, like you just mentioned. But the truth is we're just scared. And so we got to execute to kind of get out of our own way and to realize that like we might not do it perfect, but like that's where mindset comes in and that's where strategic tweaks come in, right? And that's why all of these pieces of the pie work together. But if I'm never getting out there and executing because I don't think I'm doing it right, what's going to happen is I'm going to get stuck on the strategy hamster wheel. This is why people buy like an effing bajillion amount of courses and like are like not getting the results they want because they're stuck on the strategy hamster wheel where it's like, if I just knew more, 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 then I would know I was doing it perfect and then I could execute, right? And again, like Tracy, just like not saying that you're doing that, and that like major credit to you for mentioning that. I just think it's such a good example of what can happen is like, I need to know more, I need to know more, I need to know more. And sometimes that's not always the case. It's just that I'm scared that there might be something I don't know or I might not be doing it right. Well, great. Then that's mindset, right? Kate says guilty. Totally. Been there, done that. Jessica says I'm rolling out a new program, so executing on reaching out to my community for the ask. I've been doing it all weekend. It feels uncomfortable, but I know I need to do it. I have major goals right now. Yes, exactly. Like, just because it feels uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it's bad, right? You're like out there doing the execution work, right? And so you're not like gonna necessarily feel amazing about it at first. It's gonna feel scary, just like I did not love getting up at 6 a.m. at first, but it's easy now. Well, relatively speaking, right? And just like outreach is going to only get easier for you. Tracy says, I'm coming to the truth that just getting my stuff out there is good enough for now. Absolutely. And that's how you get smarter and tweak, right? Like that's when you get to go back to strategy. Like you're like, okay, now I've finally executed. So now it's time to go back to the strategy and be like, how do I do this better? Versus like when we try to like put these in place, like systematically, like well, I have to get my mindset perfect. And then I have to get the perfect strategy. And then I just have to perfectly execute on it. It's so freaking frustrating and it's so hard to get what we want. When we're like, okay, like I just need to be doing a little bit of all of this, right? And then I get to go back and see what I need to tweak. That's when it gets easier. So I think that's a beautiful realization, is that sometimes it's just good enough to get your stuff out there, because that's what gives you the perspective to go figure out what's the next thing you need to tweak. Is it mindset? Is it strategy? Is it execution, right? So that's amazing. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Literally, you can use this framework to get any result you want, whether that's life or business, but you got to ask yourself the right questions. Got to figure out where your holes are, and you got to get real with yourself, because it's probably not going to be the comfortable thing, right? So take the quiz if that's helpful, a lit up life.com/quiz. And after you take the quiz, there's a product I have. I think it's also on my website, which is like the MSE framework. And that's really helpful too, because that's going to help you kind of walk through that, the questioning of yourself and being like, where is my hole at, like deeply? And can I get super specific about it and fix that one thing, right? Barb says, I never thought mindset was my block until I met you. Now I know it's like the thing. Totally. Because it was not the comfortable thing, right? It's like, I would much rather just be like, wait, just change this one thing on your ads. And again, sometimes it's that, but sometimes it's so much more than that. But like also you got incredible results because you decided to lean into that thing, even though it was uncomfortable, and do the work, right? So, all right, guys, take the quiz, alituplife.com/quiz. Let us know what you got. If you're watching the replay, I would love to know, do you need to focus on mindset, strategy, or execution? And if you have any questions now or in the replay, just let me know. But I hope this was helpful. This is the thing. This is always the thing. You just got to figure out what your thing is, and then you're going to be able to move forward so much faster. So I hope that helps. I will talk to y'all soon, and I hope you have a great week. Bye, guys.